How might world augmented reality change our relationships with places? Or, as another way to think about it, how might a heightened spatial intelligence affect our relationship with the world around us? In this video, I'll be touching on principles rather than technological capabilities or specific branded use cases, because the technologies around AR are moving at quite the pace. To my mind, World AR has this opportunity to tap into this incredibly base human interaction, which is pointing at a thing and going, what's that? And how does it work? Or what does it mean? It has the power to deliver contextual information with immediacy. I could tell you the history of this Roman wall. I could even draw you a sketch. Or I could invoke this superpower that lights up the world in front of you. We've seen glimpses of technology that does this before. Early heads-up displays in aircraft, for example, or even the first light meters in consumer cameras that first started appearing 100 years ago. All these early examples look to solve similar problems, that of offering useful information without getting in the way of the user. So let's look at some of the themes where AR could change our relationships with places, the conditions needed for compelling experiences, and the challenges that might come with that. I see three key ways that world augmented reality could change how we engage with places. First, perception, followed by meaning, then attachment. At its simplest level, World AR will change what a person knows about a place that they're looking at. It will deliver information that helps them better understand their context in order to perform a task. For example, that might be to learn, to communicate, or to entertain. Building on how we perceive a place, we might come to a heightened sense of meaning of it. If I can tune into the content at a given place that I personally find valuable, then what's occurred there affects what it means to me. This is where we'll see new sensitivities of how people consider the immediate world around them. Meaningful places affect who we are and affect our behaviours and our identity. Through this combination of telling me information about a place and what that information means to me as an individual, we'll become attached to places. Places will have different meanings to people depending on if these places are common, rare, or mythic. An everyday street will resonate where it might not have done before. But all this can only happen if the experiences we design in AR are actually useful, if they solve user problems and do so in a way that is maybe a little bit better than before. For example, if it's easier to grok the message, or if the experience itself is more compelling, connecting us with our world. And all of this needs to come without increasing friction. Three conditions that are important to making compelling AR content include converging on familiar patterns that people engage with, a dynamic ecosystem of content that can evolve in the wild, and easy access to inspirational content from small pieces to big epics. On familiar patterns, we'll have established patterns for handling UI and content that are intrinsic to places. These will include filtering, getting to the best bits, the rules around temporality, how long content lives for, fuzziness of where content is anchored to, how the proximity of content is conveyed, and how I can get to it. The wisdom of crowds is going to be where the unexpected use cases start appearing. Those use cases that will move AR into a more specific sense of utility than today's egocentric AR. Designing AR for places will be easier when there's more to be inspired by, increased frames of reference, and where end users have expectations for where they can access content on the world. And of course, these factors come weighed down with challenges. There'll be real user expectations to match. It needs to be clear what it does. Things need to get loaded quickly. It has to look and sound great. And it needs to be accurate to a location. We also need to design for a world where we don't know the user. With pervasive technologies around cameras that are necessary to glean information from the world, privacy is going to become even more important. The combination of location and content will become more meaningful than the content on its own. that when AR utility and content become increasingly commonplace, it's going to change the medium it's in a relationship with, that of the places it overlays.